Welcome to another year of Battle Royale baseball. This is your commissioner here, Rex, and the Goon Goblin himself, Michael, coming in. Uh, Excited for another year of Major League Baseball. Um, and we've sat here for probably 15 minutes now, analyzed the teams, went through the draft, and I am very excited to break these down, show everybody what we kind of came up with. So yeah, let's start. Let's go to the draft first. So let me see if I can figure out how to do that. Stop that screen, and we want to use share screen. We want to go to Fantrax. All right. So we saw Ohtani go first. Obviously, there was a great pick. The first round was a very solid round. I felt like a lot of guys, made smart picks. I can't argue with anybody against anybody's picks in that first round. The second round we'll talk a little bit about later. I think there was some mishaps, and then Michael and I had talked. The third to the fifth round, I think, is where teams either got their quality depth or they missed completely. And then obviously, round 6 or 10, it's kind of a crapshoot. It's all a lot of 20 homer guys, good names in the league, and you hope some of those guys have great teams. But without further ado, let's start with Cole Becker. Let's break down his team a little bit. Who was your favorite pick off this team, Michael? I think you mentioned a guy that was picked in the 6th round that you really like.
Yeah, I like Doyle. I think he's a sleeper pick. The dude's a stud. I don't think a lot of people know about him because he plays on arguably the most irrelevant team in Major League Baseball. But I think that was a good grab by Cole. I think I had my eye on him a little bit later and was going to grab him, but Cole snagged him. But he had 20 doubles, 20 homers, a few triples. He's got some speed. He hit. It's not. I mean, like for a 6th round pick, I think this is a pretty good guy who I think is only going to get better. So I would. I think those 2024 numbers improve this year, and I think Cole did a really good job on this one.
Yeah, I like the Doyle pick. Kind of an under the radar guy. But who was somebody? Well, I'll just go ahead and say it. We really did not. We kind of broke down this pick. We did not like James Wood here in the 5th round. You look at, he only played in almost 80 games, but the power is just not there. He has, I don't know. I mean, it's tough to judge off 80 games, but he's really not proven himself.
Yeah, he's just so unproven. This was such a risky pick in the 5th round. If this was a 7th or 8th round pick, I think that's fine. But yeah, and I think he's a legit prospect who can play legit. But so far, we haven't seen it, and I don't know how this guy's going to do. I mean, at the end of the year, we could be wrong. This guy could be a top 25 hitter, or he could be dropped from Cole's team by week 6. Both of these things could happen.
I agree. So that's kind of what we come up with on Cole's team. Let's move on to Lutz here. I'll go first here with the player that we both agreed on that we liked, which was Wyatt Langford, actually in the 4th round. Wyatt Langford put together a really solid season last year. He is a gap-to-gap hitter. Absolutely, going to be a staple in the middle of that Texas lineup. I think there's a lot to like about him. He really struggled early in the year last year. I know I had him on my team. I hung with him, and he ended up being one of my better players in the second half. I think that he has a big year for the Rangers. I think this is kind of his coming out party. So
Yeah, those 2024 stats don't really do him justice because that first half was one so atrocious. But then I think he also got hurt a little bit
Yeah.
later on
Yep.
in the year, and I think he ended missing the last like 3 weeks. But he was on a heater to end the year last year until his injury, and I think grabbing him in the fourth round, I think that dude has league winner potential.
Yeah, absolutely. Who was one guy we didn't like? This is a guy that
Santander.
I didn't realize he hit 44 bombs,
He
but
did. This dude had a great year last year, but now he's with the Blue Jays, new team, still in the same division. But I just don't know if he can repeat it. I think a lot of these home run guys you see big years from, and then the next year they hit like 25 and bat 210. So
yeah,
I just don't know.
I mean, he hit 235 last year. He's going to be the type of guy that he's going to give you maybe 5 points in a week, or he's going to give you 20. I just
very home run dependent.
I don't like him going to Toronto. It's kind of it's more of a pitcher's ballpark, and I think he's actually going to struggle there. Toronto is just notorious for signing guys and them immediately struggling and sucking. So I think this is probably a case for Santander there. All right, moving on to Torbeck. What was your thoughts on Bellinger here in the 7th round? I really like this pick personally. I think that this is a great pick.
Yeah, he had a good year last year with the Cubs. Signed with the Yankees. So he's listed as a first baseman. I think they're going to play him in the outfield though, right? With Goldie at first now, or are they going to?
Yeah, I think I think we'll probably see Goldie DH and hit against lefties. And I think you'll see Bellinger kind of, do his normal utility thing, or he's playing a little bit in the outfield and in first base. So.
And you get the short porch there in New York. I think it's going to help Bellinger, and I think this guy was kind of a sleeper pick coming into this year, and I think he's on pace. I mean, last year wasn't terrible. The power numbers were a little bit lower. I think those are going to improve this year, and I think he's going to outperform that 7th round pick for sure.
Yeah, I agree. One guy that we did not like was J-Rod, actually in the 2nd round. Now,
yeah,
for me, he hits the ball, but his walk rate is atrocious, absolutely atrocious. He played in 143 games, and he walked 38 times last year.
And look at his extra base hits were honestly pathetic. 17 doubles and 20 homers.
Just not a guy, and only 20 bombs last year. It's a guy I think that carries a lot of
name recognition
value, but really is not that great a player.
Yeah, he could. He's the type of guy though. He could come out this year and have an MVP type season. I'm not going to write him off and say that he sucks. He's a good player, but after seeing how bad he was last year, to still take him in the 2nd round, I think was a little bit of a reach.
Yeah, I think that was a, if you would have picked him with the 3 pick, I'd
feel better.
I don't feel bad, but this is a 2nd round pick, and you still had Acuna, Turner, even Marte. I would have taken over him, and maybe even like some of these guys picked right here in the 3-4, 3-5, 3-6 spots. Like, I just feel like J-Rod went about 6 or 7 picks too early, personally.
Yeah.
All right. Now on to Michael's team. I guess I'll cover these. My favorite pick on this one was Devers in the 3-4 spot. I think that this was a really nice pick. Devers, you feel like you know what you're getting with him. He's gonna hit in the mid 250s to 280s, right in there, and you're gonna probably get a 25 to 35 homer guy. And the big thing is, will he DH or will he play third base? But the thing is, he's going to be in the lineup almost every day. As long as he's healthy, this is a great pick here in the 3-4 spot. Like I said, potentially I felt like could have been an end of round 2 guy. And those double numbers jump off the board to me. I mean, 35 doubles. That is a very solid player.
Yeah, and just compare that to what we just saw with J-Rod, and it kind of
Right.
makes you question even more how J-Rod got picked so high.
Right. My least favorite pick here, and it's Tovar. One round later, just this number right here. I'll circle it. 200 strikeouts. Just a guy. He hits the ball, but he's also one of those guys, just like who was it earlier that we mentioned? Who was it that we just talked about? Who has such a low walk rate?
J-Rod.
J-Rod. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, similar numbers to J-Rod. Actually, probably a little better numbers than
J-Rod. A lot better. Double the doubles and more home runs.
Yeah, the double number stands out. The homer number stands out. But this number here, mixed with this number here, 23 walks to 200 strikeouts. He's the type of guy.
He's swinging the bat, baby. He's swinging the bat.
If he's getting the bat on the ball, it's going to be he's just not walking. And with walks being valued at half a point this year, I think that is a very important stat. It's I think going to be the difference between a lot of mid-tier teams and teams that are at the top of the league. So big fan of the Devers pick, but one round later, Tovar, just that 200 strikeout number is insane. So on to me, and you can do this one here.
Yeah, I think Freddie was an absolute steal at the 2.6. I think every year this dude is like a top 10 hitter. So I was actually surprised at how far he kind of, I guess you could say he fell. Honestly, like if he went 1.6, I wouldn't even blink. I'd be like, yeah, that's a good spot for Freeman. So to get him almost a full round later is kind of crazy. He was injured towards the end of the season, I think, but still 35 doubles. He didn't have a big power year. Walks quite a bit. Doesn't matter how good this draft was. The misdirection is inevitable. Murph, we'll get to that. We'll address that in a little bit. So we'll save that comment. But this dude is just a pure hitter, a great batter's eye. I think he's going to have a better year power-wise than he did, but you can never discredit Freeman.
Yeah, what I like about Freeman is this number right here: 78 walks to 100 strikeouts, and he still had 153 hits. The power numbers might not be there for Freeman. I expect him to be in the 20 homer range. But I know one thing is he's going to get on base a lot. His OBP is 378, or what it was last year. I think that is awesome. So, and you said the guy you didn't like off this was the guy that the Las Vegas A's just signed to a 6 or 7 year deal. So
yeah, this was like their biggest contract they've ever handed out.
Yeah.
Aside from maybe like Billy Butler.
5th round pick here, so you can talk a little bit about Butler.
Yeah, I think the media hype has gotten to him a little bit. He only had 20 doubles and 20 homers. He kind of strikes out quite a bit. I think he had a career year last year. I don't know if he repeats that again. I think he's a good player, but I think this is more like a 7th round pick or later. I just don't see him repeating the success that he had last year. And even then last year, like I said, he only had 24 doubles and 22 home runs. It's not like he, had 40 bombs like Santander.
Right. No, I agree. It might have been a stretch. Personally, I'm high on him. So I like him. I like the way he plays. And I think that ballpark that they're playing in this year,
the minor league park.
Yeah, I think you're going to see the ball fly out of there a little bit more than what people are expecting.
That could be true. I didn't really think about that.
All right, so we're going to move on to Murph's team here. One of my favorite picks in the whole draft was Austin Riley in the 3rd round. He only played 110 games last year. I believe he got hurt at the end of the year. But coming off that, he's been a consistent player pretty well all the way through his career. I wish I could go back a little farther and look at some of his numbers, but yeah, just an absolute steal in my opinion in the third round. Probably a 25 to 30 homer guy. The walk rate isn't great, but he is the type of player that has MVP potential, and he's in a good lineup where he doesn't have to feel the stress of all the players around him needing him to perform. So I think that Riley's in a good spot, which is one of my favorite picks in the draft. I could have taken him, obviously, with the 3-5 pick. Just wasn't exactly who I was wanting but I do like this 3-6 pick. And the pick we did not like was actually one round earlier. Michael, you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, I think Duran was a stretch there. I think Murph maybe being a little bit of a homer there, taking the Boston boy. Big fan of the things that he says in game. If anybody remembers that last year, but I just don't know if he's a really good player. But when you had other guys like Lindor, Tatis, even his teammate Devers still on the board, to take Duran over them was pretty crazy in my opinion. Hopefully it pans out. I think he definitely has the skills there to do it, but a big strikeout guy as well. 160.
Yeah, he did have 191 hits last year. I think that was second in the league. The doubles number is crazy.
What was that? It's covered up. 48. Yeah, that's
48 doubles last year. But I still feel like it might have been a little early on Duran. I could have seen him going more towards the end of round 2, early round 3. But hey, Murph believes in his Red Sox. I think it's an okay pick. I think the strikeout number is a little concerning. But, if he can pop 25, 30 bombs this year and still put up, 40-some doubles, I think that is a very solid player. All right, moving on to Trent. One of my favorite picks, and this rat bastard, let me tell you, calls me on Friday, and I didn't think that he would take I didn't realize that he would take Goldschmidt 2 picks before my final pick, because I was saving Goldschmidt for the final round. I was pretty pissed off because I mentioned it on the phone to him that I was like, I might look at Goldschmidt in the late rounds. Bad idea. Don't trust your brother. Pretty upset that I don't have Goldschmidt on my team, which is why that was my value pick for Trent. Goldschmidt hitting in New York, I think, is going to be very, very beneficial to him. He had a bad year last year. I get he's 37 years old, but he still popped 22 bombs last year, still around 150 hits. And he's going to draw a lot of walks. He just had a tough time last year with the fastballs up in the zone. He crushes lefties still. But if he can find a way to, he has a lot of warning track power at Busch Stadium. I think going to the Yankees and a change of scenery is really going to help him. So that's my thoughts on Goldschmidt. Bregman, though, this is one you and I both didn't care for, right, Michael?
Yeah, Stinky, Bregman. Yeah. This boy is just, I think he's washed at this point. We'll see. I mean, maybe with the monster there, he can poke some stuff out, but I think Boston way overpaid for this dude, and I just don't think that he's going to be too great, to be honest.
Yeah. Bad year last year. He has similar numbers to what Goldschmidt did, and Trent drafted him in the 5th round. So, yeah, not a fan. All right, on to Watts. Watts, really loved his draft in general. This is my favorite pick here, though. Jackson Merrill absolutely tore the cover off the ball last year. And 162 hits, 31 doubles, 24 bombs. Jackson Merrill is one of, in my opinion, one of the better younger hitters in the league. It seems like he just has good bat to ball skills. Strikeout number you can live with. The number I don't like about Merrill personally is the 29 walks. I believe he's probably going to hit leadoff or up in the order. That number really has to go up this year. The Padres are even going to have success. So, yeah, 162 hits, solid. The doubles numbers I do like, but yeah, this is the pick I probably like the most from Watts. He had a lot of great picks in my opinion, but one that we didn't necessarily care for.
Another Boston boy.
Another Boston hitter. 241 this guy hit last year.
Oh yeah, with 8 doubles and 13 home runs.
He only played. I guess he only played in 63 games.
Yeah, but I mean, how many years? I feel like he's been in the league like 4 years now, and every year people are still saying, "Oh yes, this is his breakout year. This is his breakout year," and it doesn't happen. He's not going to stretch singles into doubles. He hasn't shown the power in 4 years. I just didn't like this as a 5th round pick or what? No, even a 7th round. Yeah, I thought this was maybe a dude probably could have gone 9th or 10th or even undrafted, and I don't think I would have cared.
Yeah, it says here Casas has been included in a grapefruit lineup. Hasn't been included in a grapefruit lineup since March 2nd, so he's been out a week with a bug. Great start to the year for Triston Casas.
He'll be dropped by week 4.
Yeah, I was not a fan of that pick. Even in the 7th round, I mean, there was plenty of better players out there.
Yeah, Contreras went right after that. So
yeah, I mean, I would have taken any of these guys in this round before Triston Casas.
Yeah.
But all right, moving on to Ryan. Favorite pick here was
Rutschman and Semien.
Yeah, Rutschman in the 5-9 spot. Rutschman didn't have necessarily the greatest year last year. The average was down. But this is a guy I completely trust his process. He is the leader of this Baltimore Orioles team, in my opinion. And
did they bring the fence in again this year in Baltimore?
I think they made it shorter.
Yeah.
So
should help a little bit.
I mean, he's a switch hitter, so he's going to probably mainly be hitting on the left side.
I mean, this dude has legit pop. We've seen it in the home run derby. We've seen it in years previous. A down year offensively, but yeah, he's going to hit in the middle of a contending lineup, and I think he's going to produce.
Yeah, I like Rutschman. I think the late 5th round was a great spot to pick him. Our least favorite pick, maybe
speaking of a guy who could have gone in the 5th round.
This is my least favorite pick, I think, in the whole entire draft.
Elly De La strikeout.
The walking strikeout, 218 strikeouts. Walk rate isn't actually terrible, but gosh,
He's electric when he's on fire. This dude is going to give you 25 or 5 any given week, and he's going to have a 2 to 3 week stretch where Ryan probably considers benching him. And then he'll have a 2 or 3 week stretch where he is the second coming of Babe Ruth. So you're gonna have to live with the lumps. I just don't know if that was worth taking in the 2nd round, given the more stable, consistent players that were still out there.
Yeah, to me, the volatility of Elly is just, he is all over the place. I don't know. I just am not super high on Elly personally. I just don't like the strikeout rate. And he's the exact type of guy I want to avoid in the 2nd round. 3rd round, I might have taken a chance on him. But man, literally, I mean, the second 2-2 pick, so high. That's like what your little brother, like your 8-year-old little brother, does. He drafts him in the second round.
Yeah, because that's the only name he knows.
Value alone. I thought it was a pretty.
Ryan's just going for the cover of Show Players right there, taking Gunnar and Elly De La Cruz back to back. Yeah. I'm surprised he didn't try and draft Skeens right after
that. All right. Moving on to the last, the sorry sucker who had the 110 pick, Marsh. And favorite pick here is actually one that came in the end of the 10th or 5th round. That's Ozzie Albies. Had a shortened season last year.
Yeah, like all the Braves players due to injury.
But... Yeah, that whole Braves team was just so injured last year. And I think they were great. I liked a lot of them coming into the year. They just didn't end up, on my team. But Elly played, or Ozzie played in about 100 games last year, and he was playing hurt at times too. So these numbers are not bad for 100 games. The doubles number really stands out to me, and the walk rate isn't terrible, but I think he's due for a bounce back year, and a guy that definitely could perform like a top 2-3 player on his team. So
absolutely, yeah, he's probably the most consistent power hitter, second baseman in the game. He only had 10 last year. I think those bump back up. He's probably more of like a 25 home run guy.
Yeah.
So I think he'll bounce back.
Yep. Now, one of my least favorite picks.
Pick your poison here.
Yeah, there was several on this team. Corbin Carroll in the 2nd round. Gosh. Hit an abysmal 231 last year.
And played in almost every game. Yeah. And had only with his speed to only have 22 doubles. I mean, the triples, yeah, that's quite a bit. So, he did stretch some of those into triples, but I didn't love it. I did not love the Corbin Carroll pick at all.
Yeah, I thought the Elly and the Carroll pick, I couldn't figure out which one to make fun of more in the lead or in the group chat. And I think I should have actually picked Carroll now that I actually look at these numbers. But yeah, just not a pick that, I mean, hell, give me even some of these guys in the 3rd round over Corbin Carroll and literally just missing out of the 1st round. Just not a great pick, in my opinion. He could turn around. He could hit 280 and, or
shut us
300, 320. I mean, he has the potential, but man, you got to take somebody who has
consistency
with that 2-1 pick. I mean, he could have picked him 310. I mean, potentially could have picked him 310. I'm not joking. So, yeah, Marsh, I think that was one of the worst picks in the draft. So we have the rankings. It's always tough to do a rankings off of the first without seeing anybody play, it's very difficult to do, but we kind of collectively thought about this list. So we're going to do a rankings here. At number 10, we have Parker Lutz. We've talked a little bit about this team. Ultimately, just don't think that beyond Witt and Acuna, I just don't see where this team gets production consistently.
It's so young. Chirino, Langford, Abrams, Holiday, Dylan Cruz. I mean, that's half your team and is under the age of 23, it feels like.
Yeah, it's a very young team. Definitely a team that has a high ceiling. It's just, are all these guys going to hit at the same time? That's a no. I can tell you that already. I just think that there's not enough proven vets on this team, and you're getting Acuna, who's coming off a major knee injury. I don't think it's that pick in the 2nd round, but just not a big fan of this team personally, which is why right now they're coming in at our 10 spot. At number 9, we had Marsh. We talked a little bit about how bad we thought the Carroll pick, but you could have went through the next 3 picks here that he had and questioned all of them. we were in agreement that this team might be the worst team in the league, just because it's so volatile. He's going to have weeks where he's going to knock off the number one team in the league. I know it. But then he's also going to have weeks when he is the worst team in the league.
Yeah, I'm looking at Carroll, Chisholm, Cruz, Albies, and Lou Bob, and I'm thinking strikeout, 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 strikeout. Those big whiff numbers there by those guys. Big power, but big whiff.
Yeah, very rough. Number 8, we have Andrew Torbeck. He has Judge at the top. Great player. But man, the strikeout numbers that this team could produce is very high. Judge being 1, Alonso being 2, Olsen being 3. You might have, Reynolds. What is Pasquantino? What's his strikeout rate? Oh, he's
not bad.
Not bad. But J-Rod was high too, right? Yeah, J-Rod.
Castellanos.
Yeah, just Jesus. Yeah, this team is.
Dude, I think I missed the playoffs last year, and so this dude took my 3 most underperforming players and added them to his roster this year in Olsen, Pasquantino, and Bichette, and said, "Yeah, I'll trot this lineup out there. This will win me a championship." They couldn't win Michael a championship, but if I do it, it'll win.
Yeah, I just don't like this team. He's going to prove me wrong. He does every single time. But just not a fan of the strikeouts on this team. Gosh, it's going to be brutal. At 7, we have Ryan. Talked a little bit about this team. The Ellie pick, was not a fan of. Rooker in the 3rd round, was not a fan there either. But I think that he saved it with his 5 through really his 8. I think Rutschman in the 5th round was good. Simeon in the 6th round was solid. Jock, dude hits. He strikes out. No, he didn't have too bad a strikeout rate last year, Garcia is a strikeout rate, but in the 8th round, I get it. Just overpicked early and then drafted well late. Gets him in the 7th mark. I think this is a fringe playoff team if some of these guys pan out. But I think a very deserving bottom half of the league at the end of the day.
But it's Ryan, so by week 6, half these players will be off his roster. He'll have a new 6.
Yeah.
And he'll go from there.
Right. All right, coming in at number 6 was actually the guy that had the first overall pick. What do you think of Becker's team here?
I think it's mixed. I think I like guys, obviously Ohtani, Ketel Marte. I like William Contreras. I like Doyle. I think Terang's kind of a sleeper. But then he's got guys that were absolutely on my do not draft list, like Eugenio Suarez, Garcia Jr., PCA. I even don't really like Trey Turner anymore as he's getting older. And James Wood, I think, is just so unproven that in the 5th round, I didn't see it there. So it's a hodgepodge. I could see this team winning games, but this team doesn't stand out to me as championship material.
Right. I'm right there with you. He definitely has the star power at the top, but beyond that, it falls off a cliff for me personally. But I absolutely could see this team being a playoff team. That's why I kind of have them at 6. At number 5, we have myself. You can talk about me, I guess.
Yeah, I think those top picks there, Soto and Freeman. Rex really went contact heavy this year. Soto hits the ball, Freeman hits the ball, Altuve does, Kwan, Arias. Rex mentioned earlier that his draft strategy was death by 1,000 paper cuts. Even Brendan Donovan down there. Those guys are just slash hitters, and he could very easily put up a lot of points in a week. But, would you rather have a guy hit 2 home runs a week or hit 6 singles? Obviously, the 2 home runs are going to give you more points. So it's a little bit aging Mike Trout, he will be injured at some point. He'll be on the IL. It'll either be his lower back or his leg. And then Altuve, I think this year we really kind of start to see the fall off. He's just getting old, man. I feel like he's 37 or something. The dude is. I just don't know how much longer he's going to be able to do it. So we'll see. It's not a bad team by any means. It definitely, I think, is a playoff team, but I don't know. Soto having more walks than strikeouts is insane, actually.
I'm very much looking forward to Soto in this league with the walks being added. I was very surprised he was still sitting there at 1.5, especially with the strikeout rate that Judge has.
Yeah, maybe a whiff on my part by not taking him.
I was very happy about Soto still being there. I could not complain. One guy I do want to point out, I think that this guy right here, he doesn't hit. He is not like he's a high strikeout guy, but I think them playing in that new ballpark, I think you could see that number creep up.
Yeah, I do want to mention, so my issue with catchers in this league is that you can't make subs, right, per week unless you get free injuries or whatever rules we discussed. And so knowing that catchers are only at most going to play like 140 games, I don't want to miss out on those extra 20 games by having a catcher on my team. So I did not draft a catcher. I'd rather take a guy that's going to play 6-7 games a week than a guy who's going to play 5.
It's true. That's true. All right. Number 4. Well, we have the Goon Goblins. Yeah, this team, I've obviously said I like Devers. I like Harper I think that was a great pick as well. Harper in the second round, late second round. Devers, Harper. I think Adames in the 5th round was a great pick. I think Randy in Seattle could be really solid. And I don't know. I'm not huge on Profar. I think he was kind of a one-hit.
Profar's hurt.
Oh, he is?
No. Yeah, he's day-to-day, but he twisted his wrist diving for a ball, and it just made me it was the day after I drafted him, so of course my luck. Yeah, Xander, I drafted him last year. He played like shit. I think this year he has a little bit of a bounce back, but I didn't think in the 9th round I was really reaching.
Yeah, Vladdy, I like. I mean, really, his strikeout to walk ratio is pretty solid.
It's not bad.
He's definitely a top 6 pick.
He hit 323, had like the most total bases last year, and the power is there. He's leaned up a little bit. Last year he was fully healthy. It's a contract year. I think this dude is going to have an MVP season.
Yeah, I think Guerrero was definitely a top 6 pick. I think 1-4 over Soto.
That was it. Could have been a reach for sure.
But I mean, it's you're fighting with pennies at this point. I mean, it could be he gets you 10 more points over, or Soto gets you 10 more points, or Guerrero gets you 10 more points. It really doesn't matter. They're first round type players. So that's where I have Michael coming in at 4. At number 3, I have Murph. Really a big fan of this team. Just really wish you wouldn't have taken Duran with that 2-5 pick. Personally, but I love this stretch here, really all the way down to about the 7-6. I love Riley, Hernandez, Naylor, Suzuki, and Yelich. I think Yelich, if he's healthy, is a very quality player. And you got him in the 7th round. I think this team has a lot of homer potential and also guys that are going to knock the ball around the park with a lot of doubles. I think this team is very dangerous. Even Tyler O'Neill, I mean, geez, dude hit 30 bombs last year.
30 bombs last year.
Came up in the 9th round. JJ Bleday, 20 homer guy.
43 dubs.
Yeah, he's got a very solid team. Don't really like the Volpe pick that much. I think he's overrated and a high strikeout guy. Probably the first guy I'd drop off this roster once we start getting into waiver wires. But I have Murph at 3. So I guess that leads us to number 2. And a new guy to the league, Trent. What did you think about this team, Michael?
Yeah, I think Trent Went with the proven players. J Ram's a top hitter every year. Lindor's a top hitter every year. Seager had kind of a down first 3 quarters of the year and then was on fire to finish the season. Machado, again, a proven hitter, maybe starting to see him kind of fall off a little bit, but still in the 4th round, I didn't hate it. Wilson Contreras, now that he's moved to first, probably play more games. He's a proven hitter. This team is, I think, up and down the lineup is going to be consistent and is a team that you're going to have to play your A game against every week to beat.
Yeah, I think this is a very consistent team. Trent knows ball, in my opinion, so he's definitely a good addition to the league. And I think he's going to have a very competitive team in the first year. So that leads us number 1, and it's Watts. I think Watts has.
How do we let him get away with this shit every year? This dude just drafts the best team every year, I feel like, and it doesn't matter if he's drafting from the 8 spot or the 1 spot.
Yeah, just the Alvarez pick. I had him last year. I got him, I think, in the 2nd or 3rd round. It was just stupid. And he gets drafted here in the 1-8 spot. I think, honestly, Tatis should have went in the 1-8. Alvarez should have went in the 2-3, but he ended up with Tatis anyways in the 2nd round.
He capitalized on the bozos picking after him, messing up their picks.
Oh, absolutely.
He was able to value value Max for sure.
Really, these 3 picks: Henderson in the 1st round, Ellie and Carroll, I just did not like, and he absolutely capitalized on it. And I mean, it shifted like Bryce Harper down to 2-7, and some of these guys here like just made that into that 2nd round so much better, which is why I think a lot of the teams that drafted, after these 2 and drafted after Lutz had an advantage. I just feel like, yeah, it just led to Watts having so much value on the board, and he absolutely hit it out of the park. And I think, beyond the only pick I absolutely hate is Tristan Casas. I think that was a terrible pick, and we already hit on that. But this team probably is going to be a top 3 team this year. I would absolutely expect them to be. Just a lot of guys. You have the big boppers of Alvarez and Schwarber. Then you have the guys like Tatis and Merrill and Harris, and even Matt Chapman's a hell of a player. And Perez is older, Correa is a little older, but they're quality players in the MLB that he can put in there, if he needs to on a week and play them, and they're going to be consistent. So Watts coming in at the top dog. So that was a great draft by him, in my opinion.
Agreed.
All right, that ends this. This is a long video, really. It's 45 minutes. But we had a lot to go through, a lot to talk about. It's always fun talking about the draft. So that's all I have. Is there anything else you want to say, Michael?
Nope. I just look forward to talking trash and lifting the trophy at the end of the year.
Oh, all right. We'll see how that goes. But all right, we are out of here. We will see everybody in a couple weeks. Once the season gets started, I will try to do a video every week, or at least maybe every other week or something. Mix it up, but try to be a little more consistent on it this year. So, all right, that is all I have. We'll see you guys in a couple weeks. Bye.
Adios.